going on here? Why is that not? All right, let's see here. All right, cool. We are live. Thank you. And there she is. The new album, Frantic, Translucent Orange. And today is June 1st, the eve of the release of our brand new album, Frantic. Hey, how's it going? Willie. Just here doing a Q&A. We're going to wait for some more people to get on. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I said 5 Central Time, but you know, sometimes we have some technical difficulties. So I'm just going to mess around here with this mandolin. We wait for some other people to hop in the chat. Sweet, got a little bit of mandolin for you, bonus. Awesome. Willie, I'm glad you got your album and you love it. That's cool. Yeah, we really do think that it did turn out great. And you got it on vinyl, if I remember correctly. I think I really do think the vinyl has a little bit more warmth than the digital file. So glad you dig it. Officially, it's not out until tomorrow, but those of you that made a pre-order, I mailed those out late last week, so most of you should have received it by now. If you haven't, though, let me know, and we'll make sure we get that rectified. But for those of you that don't know me, my name's Vinnie. I am a little bit having some allergies today, so I apologize for the congestion, but I'm the front man for the band, the Semi-Supervillains. And I write and all the music and lyrics for the band. I've always done that. And this is our 3rd full-length studio album, Frantic. It's coming out tomorrow. Really proud of this one. We got it available on CD and vinyl. But this is actually our first release we've ever done on vinyl record. And the reason why we've never done vinyl record before is just because it's really expensive and it's just kind of hard to do. And it just wasn't as readily available in our previous years as a band before. But here's the record here, Frantic. And we got it printed on orange vinyl, translucent orange. We call it OSHA orange or Autocar orange. But I'm here to do a question and answer. I put out a post on Facebook and other social media sites early this week saying that I would be doing live at 5 p.m. That's Central Time, because I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. But we were going to be doing a Q&A, so I asked a bunch of people to send me an email with any questions you have, and we got a pretty good response. A lot of people, I got a whole bunch of questions, almost front and back, written out here, so I'm just going to go through each question one by one. If you're in the chat, if you have any questions, I will see your question pop up on the screen, so go ahead and pipe up and ask me your question. I'd be more than happy to jump that question to the front of the line. But anyway, without further ado, let's start this question and answer here. So the first question comes from Tom from Ontario, Canada. What is the age demographic that listens to your music? So Tom, that's a great question. Thank you very much for that. So the age demographic that listens to our music, I'll give you the 2 most largest range. I had to look this up, and this is why I asked for some of you to email your questions because some of these are a little bit more technical. I did have to look the answer up to this one. But our most popular age groups, it's a tie of 22% each, 28 to 34 at 22%, and then 45 to 64, and that's also 22%. And then the gender distribution split up there is about 85% female, or I'm sorry, 85% male to 15% female. So more men like our music than girls, and that's okay, you know. But yeah, I will say that I pulled those numbers from our Spotify account, and I used the numbers. That's our streaming service that we use. I used that to grab those. I will say probably a little bit more of a younger crowd uses Spotify. I did look at YouTube, and those numbers were a little bit different. But we're just going to go with the Spotify numbers for now. But cool, yeah. So interesting question, Tom from Ontario, Canada. Thanks for that one again. He emailed in, and Tom, if you're watching this live stream, and I'll send you an email too. I want to send you a sticker or postcard as a token of our appreciation. Just drop your address in if you're watching, or email it to me. I'll mail that out to you. But I got these cool postcards made up, and I just want to send those out to everybody that participated in the live stream. These are pretty neat. So put a postcard stamp on that and get that sent out to you, Tom. All right. Our second question comes another one that was emailed in from Joe from Spokane, Washington. Do the Frantic vinyls have an inscription in the space between the last track and the label? Yes, they do actually. So what Joe's referring to is there's an area on records that's just kind of right here where there's really, you can't play anything. And a lot of times you get certain inscriptions written in on them, like people will etch them in and you can read them in this area. So there's a couple things that we have written on ours. One is our matrix number. So a matrix number is kind of like your serial number for the record plant that pressed your record. What we have that is just that labeled on that just because. And we also have a couple other inscriptions. And I know for a fact that the camera is not going to pick these up. But if you end up grabbing a vinyl record for yourself, make sure you look closely for these inscriptions. The other one says, Bobby G, welcome to 1979. And that's what it says on the inner label of our record, or the space between the label and the last track on the record. So thanks again, Joe, for that question. That was a good one. All righty. Our third question comes from Linda from South Bend, Indiana. Do you have any tour dates this summer? Yes, we're not coming to Indiana, but we do have some shows coming up. If you are in, hey, what's up? How's it going? Let's see. Oh, how big of a viewer jump? Okay, Willie, I got your question up next. I'm in the middle of this question, but I'll answer your question right after I finish up this one. So we got Willie's question next about the viewer jump. So let's see here. Back to Linda. Do you have any tour dates this summer? Yes. We're not coming to Indiana, but we are going to be in some cities. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Nashville, Tennessee, Cleveland, Ohio, Weirton, West Virginia. Those are the big ones. We'll be there in July and August this year. So if you're in those areas, make sure to catch us. Our next show coming up is Sunday night. We're playing at Club Cafe in Pittsburgh. That's July 2nd. So make sure you come check that out if you're in the Western Pennsylvania area. We do love Pittsburgh. But yeah, and if you are in an area that you would like us to come to, let us know. Comment on our social media. Say, hey, we want you to come to South Bend, Indiana, or a specific venue. If you know a specific venue, like a smaller size venue, we'd love to come to your city and play there for you. Our European friends, we are really working hard to get over the pond to see you. Hey, thanks, Six Banga. Glad you love the new album. It officially comes out tomorrow, but if you're one of the people that ordered a physical copy on CD or vinyl record, those all arrived earlier this week. So I do appreciate you for purchasing that and being able to listen to it exclusively earlier than everybody else. But for all the other commoners out there, you have to wait until midnight tonight for it to come out. But yeah, thanks so much. Glad you do enjoy the new album. Cool. So we were going back to, I think Willie had a question. How big of a viewer jump do you get from partnering with Diesel Creek? And Without pulling up any of the specifics, I will say it's a pretty significant viewer jump, especially whenever Matt, I think he said he was going to be jumping in the comments here. He was going to be watching today, but we especially get a huge viewer jump whenever he plays our, we went out to Diesel Creek and played live in front of the new shop. And whenever he uses that for his intro, we get a pretty significant viewer jump. You can see it's just going like this, like this, like this, and then it goes pow, just like crazy big. And then after a couple of days, it slowly comes down. But yeah, pretty much anytime he uses that intro of us playing, just because it's in the first minute of his video and we're like actually playing and then it says our name right there, I think a lot of people are just kind of interested in the music. They hear that mandolin come in, which I actually have right here behind me. But they hear that that kind of come in, and they kind of get interested in what the sound is, and they look up, which is understandable. You want to kind of find out what's making that. So thanks, Willie, for that question. Yeah, if anybody else in the comments has a question, feel free to chime in, and I'll make sure to jump your question to the front of the line. But I do have a list here from everybody that emailed questions in. Found out, you found out through the partnership. Yeah, cool, thank you. Yeah, that's great that you found us. I will say that Diesel Creek has been like another radio station for us, because they're a radio station that is always playing our music, because that was the biggest wave for us for finding new fans before, or I guess new fans finding us, just because we are a band that we really kind of, ever since COVID happened, we really kind of have not really gotten back into playing as many shows as we used to. We used to do between I want to say 25 and 35 shows a year. Now we're doing probably like around 10 or 15. But yeah, radio has always been the big thing for us. We would get the most viewers from that, and that was a thing. We recently had a couple of songs picked up from SiriusXM's The Underground Garage. That's Little Steven's Underground Garage. I think it's channel. I don't even know what channel it is, actually. But they've been playing a couple of our songs, Rodney Bingenheimer, and then this other DJ, what's his name? I forget the other DJ's name, but he likes us too. Hey, Doug, how's it going, man? We're doing a Q&A here. So if you got any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. I think I saw someone back there, Cecil, had a question about Silvertone amps. Cecil, we'll grab your question next. But yeah, going back to Diesel Creek, man, it's been like another radio station for us, and it's been great because it's really been helping our numbers go up, which has really helped us to really kind of helped us to take the leaps to go through with this ambitious release of making a vinyl record, which is not a small task to complete. Believe me, I did everything you had to do with making this vinyl record, from the recording standpoint, which I had help from our producer Rick Wachowski with mixing it and everything. But going through the steps to get all the graphic artwork made with the help of a graphic artist named Ben from Pittsburgh, and then also getting the stuff pressed to records, there's a lot of steps that takes place with that. So I understand why record labels are so busy all the time with getting these things pressed. But it was a labor of love, and I'm happy to have these things like physically here. I'm just happy to touch them, to look at them, to smell them. They smell great. Like fresh vinyl. And you can get one too by going to www.semi-supervillains.com and ordering yourself or your mom or your grandmother a new record. And you can break out the old turntable and dust that off and get it. Or you can go to Walmart and buy a brand new one and pick up a couple of classic records, Led Zeppelin records there to go with it and listen there. But yeah, let's move on to our next question here. I see Cecil had a question about what model my Silvertone amp was. And I love these questions about amplifiers because I'm an amp nerd. I'm a guitar tone freak. And the models, I have two models that I use. I have a 1482 and a 1484. That's the Twin 12, the piggyback amp. And on the record, let's see, what songs did I use it on? I used the 1482, which is just like a cheaper, the smaller, cheaper 112, maybe like a 15-watt version. I used that on the song I Wouldn't Die For Your Love. And then I think that's it, actually. Oh, and then I used it on the Never Gonna Love You as well. Never Gonna Love You, that's one of the singles we put out. And actually, that's actually the cover art for the single. Oh man, thanks, Doug. I'm glad you really like the new songs. We got more of them coming out at midnight, so make sure you tune into the. Oh man, glad you like the vinyl too. Yeah, the orange looks super cool. We're calling that OSHA orange or Auto Car orange. But yeah, a lot of the single arts we did, I used a different amplifier. I tried to pick an amplifier for each song that used the amplifier. So for example, Bad Transmission has a vintage orange on it because I did use a 2001 orange amplifier, which is my main live amp that I use when I'm playing live shows. I use that 8030 on that one to get those tones. But yeah, super cool record using a lot of non-conventional amplifiers, and particularly vintage voiced or actual vintage amps in the case of the Silvertones that that Cecil had the question for. So yeah, thank you, Cecil, for that question. I always love talking gear and talking shop. That's what my background is, with playing guitar, just nerding out over that stuff. But let's see here. We got Chuck. LOL, I was at the other live event that isn't live, but I'm here now. Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties. I couldn't get the phone to go in the right orientation. It was going like this when I wanted to go landscape. So thanks for joining this one. I thought I had deleted those old ones, but that's good. But yeah, it looks like we got Doug and Chuck and Cecil and Willie and Six Banga in the chat right now. We got a party going on here, man. Well, thank you, Cecil, for that question. If you would like to email me your address, I'd love to send you a postcard. Anybody that participates with the question, the postcard that wants a postcard, feel free to email me. I got these printed up from, I'm not going to say where I got them printed up because they're not sponsoring this video, but I got these nice postcards printed out, and I'd like to mail one to you. Cool. Chuck, what kind of guitar do you use? That's a question from Chuck Hess. So Chuck, I use a couple of different types of guitars. The first guitar being this, what do you call it? On the front of the record, it's a 1961 Gibson SG Junior, and it's a guitar that is 61 years old, 1961. I got it a couple of years ago in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, secondhand, obviously. But this guitar is a one pickup P90 ripping machine, and it's on the cover of this album, and you can also see it's also on the cover of our previous album, Play That Rock and Roll, which came out last year. You can see me sitting on the couch holding that, the same guitar. But yeah, it deserved to be on the cover because it just played such an integral role of a lot of the songs on this record. It did the guitar solos in Living Stereo, Never Gonna Love You. It's pretty much all over the B side of the record. And also all the lead guitar parts on Bad Transmission. The other, it actually is the original pickup, Chuck. Thanks for the follow-up question, by the way. That is a P90, the original P90 from the Kalamazoo Gibson factory that it came with. It was all stock. I don't mess with my guitars really at all. I think that the professionals that make them from Gibson, Fender, or Rickenbacker, they do a pretty good job of picking out great vintage voice pickups or good pickups to go with it. The other type of guitar that I use a lot, and probably the second most I used on the album, a lot of rhythm and lead parts too, was my Rickenbacker 360. I got a black one, and it's great. I also have a 12-string one, which is pretty sweet too. But I use that for the lead and rhythm parts on the song Frantic, as well as the rhythm parts on Never Gonna Love You. And then throughout the rest of the record, if you're a guitar aficionado, especially for guitar tone, you'll be able to hear that Rickenbacker all over the new record, which is kind of cool. So cool, yeah. So I got, I just want to open this CD up really quick to show you this. I got one of the other things, since we're on the subject of what amps and stuff we used on the record. On the CD, if you purchase a CD copy, I got a Supro here. I used a reissue Supro to record a lot of the songs on the record too, especially when you hear the tremolo. That's an actual tube tremolo system from the Supro amp, and to me it just sounds a lot better than any digital computer that you could make. And I'm just going to write my name here on this CD here, because my whole thing is, why open a CD if you're not going to sign it? So anyone that wants to order a CD, we got them for sale on Semi-Supervillains.com, and you'll be sure to get an autographed copy if you order during this live stream. I try to autograph everything, but some of them get through that I missed out. So get you a good size plate reverb. You know what? I live in a 1,300 square foot house right now. I don't think I don't really have room for a plate. I got a baby grand piano sitting behind the camera behind you here, and I still think that thing's too big. I might be trading that thing in for an upright here pretty soon, just to conserve some space for all my guitars. Tube amps are more of a full sound. Yes, Chuck, I certainly agree with that. Tube amps are all I play live. I've been a tube amp purist for pretty much my entire career. And that goes back starting out, playing live professionally. And when I say professionally, that's whenever you're getting paid to play somewhere. Back to 2008, 2009, really. So yeah, it's been a good 10 plus years of playing live and recording live too. There's something about there's a lot of good computers that make great sounds. They make tons of records with computers these days, but there's something to be said about using those old tape machines and vintage tube valve preamps that really give a record and an album a certain character. And that's what we used on our new record, Frantic. We did go back and use the old school preamps, tube valve stuff, just to get a lot of that warmth you hear. And then we had it put on vinyl so you can really get all that vinyl warmth and all the cracks and the pops. And especially we got this cool, for the first pressing, we decided to do orange. We got a little over 400 copies of the orange press. So if you'd like a copy, we got those for sale on our website. We only have about, we got a good amount left. So the record officially comes out tomorrow. So I would hope we have a good amount. But I think like I said, I was the one that kind of placed all the ordering. I didn't go too high with ordering a huge amount that some of these like major artists, obviously, or even like indie artists, they're playing clubs. I tried to just really kind of go low, just because it was like almost $3,000 to press these records, which is crazy. I'm just trying to break even at this point. So cool. Yeah, Chuck, man, glad you got your record. I hope you like it, man. It's a really cool record. All right, I'm going to go look through the comments here. I saw a couple of questions pop up from Doug and some other people. I want to see if we got any cool questions. So what guitar used, Doug Ray asked, what guitar is used in Diesel Creek's theme? Is that your resonator? So that is actually there's two guitars used. It's not this one here particularly, but this is a mandolin. I use a mandolin for the Diesel Creek theme song. And then I also used a 12-string guitar, which is nothing special. It's actually an Alvarez, I don't even know the name of the guitar, but it was just a $300 guitar my dad bought from Kurt Lehman at Prestige Pawn Shop in Weirton, West Virginia. So hence the name of the song, Prestige Pawn, because I named it in honor of that, because I used the guitar that my dad purchased from Kurt. And I've purchased a lot of guitars from Kurt. Prestige Pawn, Kurt was an amazing guitar player, rest in peace, but his son Josh Lehman now runs that pawn shop. And let me tell you, every time I'm back home in Weirton, West Virginia, I'm always checking out the pawn shop and seeing what kind of goodies that Josh has. I recently picked up, within the past year, a sweet Ampeg, 1965 Ampeg amplifier, and then a Japanese 1980s Epiphone Casino, or not a Casino, it's a hollow body, but it's not a Casino. But there's a video on it on the channel. It's like a red wine finish. It's a great sounding guitar. That's kind of been my main studio workhorse for the past year since I got that one. So cool. Yeah, Doug, thanks for the question about the guitars used for the Diesel Creek theme song. All right, so I think we got some more cool questions here. It's not a cheap proposition. Appreciate your ambition. Well, thank you. Glad you appreciate it, and thanks for the support with picking up a record too. Oh man, love the theme song. Never get tired of it. Gee, Doug, thanks. Appreciate that. It's a really fun one to play live. Sometimes I just find myself just grabbing the mandolin and picking it up and playing it. Cool. All right, sweet. I used to use a 12-string Ovation acoustic electric. Chuck, I've played Ovations. I've never owned one, but I've played some of those Ovations, and man, they have a cool sound to them. I will say that. They have like a plastic back that's kind of rounded. Really weird for acoustic, but just very comfortable to play. I will say that. Very cool. Cool. All right, so I think that's all the questions. I don't think I missed any. Listening to the album and jamming on it. Thanks, Six Banga. Glad you're enjoying the new album. But anyway, I got this list here. I want to get back to another question. So we have Adam from Colorado. Erie, Colorado. He wrote in and asked the question, do you have any of your other albums on vinyl? So Adam, as of right now, we have all of our albums are currently on CD, and you can grab a copy of any of those from our website, Semi-Supervillains.com. You can order one of those. I don't have them in any record stores at the moment, so they're really the only places you can buy from me in person if you know me or you see me at a show, or just order one online. But we don't have any other of our albums on vinyl, just because vinyl is really expensive to make, and it's just a whole process to getting made. So I really had to save up a lot of money before I could get an album pressed to vinyl. And I just with kind of the whole how things have been playing out the past couple of years, with all the popularity we've gained through Diesel Creek and our music being featured there, and then Sirius XM, and then the pandemic kind of threw a wrench into things. But this record, Frantic, was our first album to do on vinyl, and I want to do more records on vinyl. Hopefully I can eliminate some of the vinyl records I have here to recoup some of the money first. But once I hit that break-even point, then I'll start thinking about getting another one made, or maybe going back and reissuing an earlier one. I'd love to do our debut album, Tricks, on record. For those of you that don't know Tricks, it was our first album that came out in 2013. And if I could do that one on a vinyl, I would do a pink vinyl. Yeah, I would just do a nice pink vinyl to go. I think pink and orange are some cool colors. But yeah, I opted for color vinyl. I feel like it sells a little bit better than the black vinyl. I know black vinyl is it sounds the best according to the vinyl purists. I don't have that good of a turntable to notice a difference. Mine's just a cheapo one from my wife, Julie. Shout out to Julie. But it does sound good. But anyway, yeah, I think we got a question here in the chat. Let's see here. The body of Ovations used to be made in Ashtabula, Ohio. I know Ashtabula. That's kind of close to Weirton, West Virginia. That's where I grew up. So very cool. All right, and then how about a cover of Wolf Creek Pass or other songs from Doug? I'm not familiar with that song, but I'll have to check it out. Thanks for the suggestion, Doug. Let's see here. All right, so going back to the questions again. So we just answered Adam from Erie, Colorado. Thanks again, Adam, for that question. If you're watching, make sure to send me an email from our website. I'd love to send you a postcard saying thank you for participating in the live stream. Just fill out the contact form and drop me your address, and then I'll get that sent out to you in the mail probably today or tomorrow when I'm done here. Neil from California asks, do you have any other Rickenbackers in your arsenal? I do. Neil, I have 3 Rickenbackers currently, and they're all the 360 model. I have a black one, which I've had for 10 years, and that's the one you hear on the record or any recording, just because I've had it the longest. I also have a brown one that I bought last year and used to record the song Living Stereo with. It's a walnut version, and I got that because it was a really good deal. I bought it off a guy who's a bass guitar salesman, so he didn't really know what it was. That's why I think I got a great deal on it. But I got it to match the bass player in the band, John Panaccio. He actually has the same walnut-style Rickenbacker bass. So if you see us play in the Northeast anytime soon, you'll see, especially this summer, you'll see me playing the walnut Rickenbacker guitar and him playing the walnut Rickenbacker bass. There's a couple of pictures of us playing them online. I believe we've used them at a couple of shows this past year. But we do really look cool when we're both playing the 2 Rickenbackers, especially because they're just kind of a weird color and a guitar that you don't see very often, just a very vintage style guitar. But yeah, thanks for that question, Neil from California. Cool, yeah. Alrighty, no other questions in the comments here. I'm just going to scroll back, make sure I didn't miss any. Like the retro song, it's inspiring. Thank you again, Doug. Retro stuff is what inspires me for sure. I was just listening to Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith on the way home from work this afternoon. Cool. All right. Yeah, so we got, let's see here. I think I got an email. Nope, no emails. But anyway, yeah, I got these records on sale on our website. If you'd like to grab one for yourself, you can go to Semi-Supervillains.com and place an order for one. I do all the packing and shipping myself. It comes in a great vinyl record sleeve here. And then these records were pressed right here in Nashville, Tennessee at the Vinyl Lab. It's a vinyl pressing plant about 10 minutes from my house, which is super cool and convenient. We did our record release show there, and they pressed records while we were actually playing the show, which is cool. But yeah, that's what we got to going on with those records. And then I also have, I think we had in our last live stream, there was somebody asking about black vinyl. I said we didn't get any black vinyl pressed. And that's not entirely true. We did get some black vinyl pressed, and right here I have one of them, one of 5. And these black vinyl records are a thing called test pressings. And they're the thicker, I guess, 180-gram versions made to be sent as artist proofs for the artist and the record label to listen to make sure that the record is the correct record and doesn't have any issues with it. But there you can see it says test pressing from the Vinyl Lab, Nashville, Tennessee. And they're different from our colored records because obviously they have a different label, but the test pressings, we are limited to 5. And the 5 of those went to the following people. Me, I'm keeping one for myself as a memento. Our producer, Rick Wachowski, my dad, just because he's been a huge supporter. And then, yeah, I have this one is my personal copy, but then I have another one left over. And because tomorrow is the release day, I'm going to be putting one of these for sale. It's going to be one of one up on our website. So if that's something that interests you, you can grab a black vinyl. You can grab an original test pressing. It might be worth something someday. It might be a coaster, an expensive coaster. But I'll put those up on the website, just one of one. We'll have that for sale, as well as the colored ones, too. So someone who's watching the live stream and is on our website tomorrow might be able to take one of those test pressings home. I'll probably list it for probably $50 just because it's one of one. But yeah, thanks for the question. Let's see here. So we got a couple of questions here. Let's see here. Roger McGuinn made a career of using a 360 12-string almost exclusively. Love the Birds. Roger McGuinn, super cool. Yep, I do agree with that. He used a lot of compression on his 12-string, which is something that I've tried to do as well. It's really cool to hear how just huge that especially I'm slipping my mind, but the record where it's kind of the circle and it's like the fisheye lens. There's a lot of 12-string on that record. But yeah, love the Birds. I was just listening to, well, man, all their stuff just kind of blends together. What was it? The Flying Burrito Brothers, and then the Sweetheart of the Honky Tonk, or whatever that one was. I was listening to that all day, all weekend really, on my drive up to Pennsylvania and then back to Nashville. That's such a great record, but not as much 12-string on that record. Actually, there's more of a country style pick in there. Let's see here. But yeah, thanks for that question. So, but yeah, I'll put that up on the website tomorrow. So if keep an eye out for that one, the test pressing. And then we have a question here that was emailed into us in advance. Troy from Austin, Texas. Will you ever consider creating a Patreon page? Great question, Troy. For those of you that don't know, about Patreon, it's kind of like a website where people pay you monthly money for, I guess, doing things. A lot of indie artists do it. I've never really had any interest in doing one. My whole thing is if you want to help support the band, buy a record, buy a CD. I'll mail that out to you. I kind of view the Patreon thing is kind of weird, just because you're getting money just for nothing sometimes. I mean, it's obviously people volunteering to give it to you, but I kind of feel like I wouldn't be able to justify it based off of, I feel like I wouldn't be able to give enough back for all those people that are generous enough. So, but yeah, thank you, Troy, for the question about the Patreon. But I don't think I'll be doing one of those anytime soon. But yeah, I'm in the business of making records, not for asking for donations here. Selling records too, so we can make more records. So Bernie Ledden was in the Flying Burrito Brothers before he joined the Eagles. Yeah, very cool. I did not know that, but that makes sense because the Eagles do have some great guitar players and they're great Telecaster players, great tone. I know Mr. Crosby, he passed away early this year. That's pretty sad, but I was listening to a lot of the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and I guess that all goes with Flying Burrito Brothers. I've been on a kick with that lately. The whole early Americana Laurel Canyon kind of vibe of music that's kind of one of the foundation for Americana, which is like, I guess, the popular genre in Nashville right now, it seems like. But yeah, that's great questions, great conversation. But yeah, anybody out there in the comments, if you have any questions, I actually have gotten through all my questions that were emailed to me. We had 5 questions emailed in, so if you do have any questions in the comment, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll answer that for you live. If you have any questions about the new record, or any of the guitars I use, or working with Diesel Creek or Sirius XM, we've been really blessed lately with having some great success with a lot of people finding us, which is great. God bless the internet, for that. I will say the internet has been a godsend with just kind of keeping this band going and really fueling a lot of the records. So I do thank you for always watching and viewing everything. I'll hear from Chuck. What kind of acoustic do you have at home? Well, Chuck, I only actually own one acoustic guitar, and going back to Prestige Pawn in Weirton, West Virginia, I purchased that guitar. It's a Martin, smaller body Martin, and I purchased that off Chuck Lehman as well, or Kurt Lehman as well, Kurt and Josh. I bought that right a couple of years ago, my senior year of college. I bought that, but that's my only acoustic I have. Well, I should say only acoustic 6-string. I do have an acoustic 12-string, but it's not the same thing. You wouldn't use those in the same way. But yeah, my only 2 acoustics are a 12-string and a 6-string, both purchased from Prestige Pawn in Weirton, West Virginia. If you're ever in that area, go check it out. They got a lot of cool music gear, just great pawn shop gear in general. But music gear is they have good experience with that stuff there. But yeah, my Martin guitar is a smaller body Martin. I think I mentioned that. Made in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, which is cool because my wife, she's actually from that part of Eastern Pennsylvania, that area. So one time she actually took me there on my birthday, and we got a tour of the factory. I didn't buy anything because I only have one acoustic. I don't really play acoustic live too often, so I don't really justify getting more than one. But one of these days I'll probably get like a Gibson J45 or something, just because they're have a pretty iconic sound. Those guitars used by a lot of country artists of today and the past, as well as I believe the Beatles maybe too use those. I'm not sure exactly. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, would definitely have to be an acoustic electric. But yeah, I just love those Martins. Made in America. Gotta love anything made in America, including these vinyl records here. It's gonna give these another shout out from Vinyl Lab in Nashville, Tennessee. They do great work down there. And then our vinyl jackets, vinyl protective sleeve, they turned out great. But yeah, just really check out the spine there. Just kind of cool. You can kind of see it says Frantic on the side there. For those of you that got your records in the mail early this week, you know how cool this is. But all the colors turned out great. And just kind of going through the back here. How long have you been writing music? Thanks, Chuck, for the question. So I have been writing music my entire life. But I guess the first official song that I ever recorded that was original was for a contest I did in high school for the Catholic Daughters of America. I went to Catholic school, for those of you that didn't know that. But it was I was, I believe, a sophomore or a junior in high school, and my dad bought me my first 8-track recorder, so I was obsessed with recording at the time. So I decided to write a song about a Christian song, contemporary song, and I submitted that to them, and I won the contest, first place. But I will say, I don't think there was too many 16-year-olds in that age group writing and recording Christian songs at that time, so I'm pretty sure I was the only entry, because the very next year I wrote another song too, and I also got a first place prize too. So I probably was the only person to even enter in those categories. But those are the first 2 songs I wrote. Those currently aren't available anywhere because I think they're very bad. The first songwriting, it's one of those things you got to do it a lot and all the time for you to get good at it. So you got to write probably 10 bad songs before you write one good one. But the first original song that I ever wrote, recorded, and released was Black Letter, which is a song that's on our first record, Tricks. It was recorded at Studio L in Weirton, West Virginia, with our producer, Rick Wachowski. Rick also produced this new album. I wanted to go back to working with Rick. Our last album, Play That Rock and Roll, which some of you know from watching Diesel Creek and then just following the channel, that came out last year. It was something I did here in my house, which is the album cover is the front of my house. If you've ever looked at that album cover, and the couch and everything is the furniture from the house. But that record, I produced it myself, and then I had Rick serve as like executive producer, and I bounced a lot of ideas off him, but because it was during the quarantine time, I just kind of did it all myself. But this one, got back to working with Rick, and it sure does sound great, and I kind of wish I did the other record with Rick, but it was a good learning experience to do it alone, just to kind of cut my teeth on all the mixing aspects to making a record sound good. But yeah, again, working with Rick, love Rick. He's just an awesome mentor, and it's just a hero of mine, just from his just kind of his demeanor, you know, and his style of music that he plays, and then just his whole resume is just really impressive. Playing with bands like Crack the Sky, if you're from the Baltimore area, you definitely know who they are. And then the B.E. Taylor Group, he had a top 40 hit in the 80s with Vitamin L. Him and Deb Wachowski, his wife, co-wrote that song together. So just a really cool song. Love doing anything with Crack the Sky or working with Rick. Really cool. But yeah, Rick did it. I played guitar vocals on it. John Panaccio, bass player, he played bass on it. And then Corey Caruso, the drummer, he recorded drums on most of the record. Tony Marino is one of my best friends in the whole world. He is also our live drummer, and he's played on a lot of songs and a lot of records, but he didn't make it onto recording of this record. But that's all right. We're gonna get him on the next one because he sure has been cutting his teeth playing with us live lately. I also want to give a shout out to James Conley and Forrest Mance for playing on a couple songs on this record. James and Forrest were part of our live band for a couple of years, from I want to say 2015 to 2019. Whenever we were based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Then after that, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and just kind of not started from scratch, but just kind of, just got a fresh feel for things. But love those guys. They're awesome. Always try to hit them up whenever I'm in town there. They play in a couple of bands, notably TV's Norm, which is James's band. Really cool band, local band in Pittsburgh you should check out. Cool. All right, so Chuck, another question from Chuck, man. Okay, what influences did you have in becoming a musician? I will say, and some of you might notice because of the guitar that's on the front cover of this record, is a Gibson SG. And this Gibson SG, it's a guitar infamously played by one of my first rock and roll heroes that I looked up to whenever I was in grade school, middle school, Angus Young, AC/DC, rock and roll. Hey, Carl, how's it going? Thanks for joining in the question and answers situation we got going on here. But yeah, going back to Chuck's question, yeah, I would say Angus Young was definitely one of my biggest influences, just for wanting to play the Gibson SG like him. And then this album cover is almost a little bit of inspiration. If you know the AC/DC album High Voltage, you see Angus Young on the front cover. It's just him holding his SG. So love the guitar sounds you get from an SG cranked through a Marshall. In my case, it's cranked through an old Supro or an Orange amplifier that's technically vintage now too because it's over 20 years old. But that's my take on it. But yeah, definitely heavily influenced by Angus Young. There was a movie that came out in 2003 called The School of Rock. And I think for a lot of musicians in my age group, The School of Rock is definitely an influential movie just because it kind of, it's just like kind of almost like a coming of age story where just like a kind of a deadbeat teacher comes in. And, well, I won't give away the story if you haven't seen it, but I highly recommend the movie. It's got Jack Black in it. Cool movie. So that's a cool movie that influenced me. And then obviously Rick Wachowski, the band Crack the Sky, is a huge influence. And then, everything from his body of work there, and his spiritual guidance. He was my confirmation sponsor when I got confirmed whenever I was 16. And then who's another influence? Obviously, like, the big classic rock monsters like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. But yeah, that's just a general overview. And then as I got older, I started to branch out and listen to more obscure things that have definitely influenced me a lot as well. But I will say what got me into singing was I never really wanted to be a singer. But now I'm three and a half albums deep and being a lead singer on all the tracks is... But anyway, the reason I got into being a singer was just going from high school to college. It was always hardest to find a singer because nobody ever wanted to be the singer just because it's tough to be the singer because you got to stand up in front of people, and when you're that age, like a teenager, your voice is cracking still, and you don't really have that, you don't really have a great singer's voice, so it's kind of embarrassing sometimes. But I decided, if I wanted to continue playing guitar, I needed to just sing all the songs myself, or else it was just going to be hard to find gigs because no one was going to want to sing. So that's what happened, and we played as a trio, which is the easiest way to play as a rock band, and I sang all the songs. So that was how I got into singing. So I really don't have that many vocal influences early on, or I didn't have any vocal influences early on. As I got better at singing, I found my voice and my range too, which is kind of like a higher range. I did kind of start to get some vocal influences, starting, obviously with like the harmonies from the Beach Boys and the Beatles, and then going back to AC/DC, Love Bon Scott, can't sing like him. It would kill my throat if I tried to. But other guys like Noddy Holder from the band Slade. If we have any of our friends from the UK watching, they may know the band Slade. Or if anybody knows the band Slade, let me know in the comments. I feel like not that many people in the States know who Slade are, but what a cool band they are. Talk about a band if you've never heard of from the 60s and the 70s, but just a great body of work, and I love that guy's voice, man. But cool, yeah, I think we got a couple more questions here in the queue. So thanks again, Chuck, for that question about what influences I had being a musician. Nashville is becoming the new Los Angeles. Everyone is moving there. Yes, I will say that is correct. I think Nashville is a music city, so you have a lot of artists moving here just because we do have a lot of record labels and big distributors and other types of people here on Music Row. A lot of people move here to get big. It still has a small-town vibe, even though it's growing. And the cost of living is very low here, and it's a very tax-friendly state. So just all those things in a row, just Nashville's blowing up. I was lucky to move here in 2019 and able to find a house pretty quickly before prices got crazy. So I'm here to stay and here for the long run. So hoping to make Nashville helps me out. So far, it's not really been tough, but really good. A lot of competition is what I'm trying to say, but that's good. Healthy competition makes me a better musician. So, cool. Hey Matt, how's it going? Thanks for joining in the question and answer situation we got going on here. So, anyway, for those of you just joining in, I'm Vinnie, and I'm the lead singer for the Semi-Supervillains, lead singer, band manager, whatever you want to call it. I write, record all the music, ship all the music out from our vinyl records. But I'm doing this question and answer session because our new record, Frantic, comes out tomorrow, or tonight at midnight. And if you want to help us out, it's free to do so. Right when this album comes out at midnight Eastern Standard Time, Central Time 11, and then Pacific like 9 or whatever time it comes out in the Pacific, put it on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, and just let it stream. Let it stream all night long and rack up those plays, because the more plays we rack up, the better numbers we get. And the better numbers we get, I can use that for pitching to record labels for our future release. So I'm trying to, obviously this release, I did it completely independent. That means I funded the whole project myself. It was very expensive. Put a lot of time and effort into it, a lot of hours, blood, sweat, and tears, the whole shebang. But for this next record, I am seriously trying to find a record label to put it out, just not only financially, but there's just like, they have a whole team of people that can help me with booking shows, and then as well as just getting this stuff printed so I can focus on my craft of writing more music for you to hear. So yeah, helping us out with comments, likes, streams, listen, that's huge. That's so huge. Obviously purchasing a record too, that is very generous of you if you want to purchase a record or a CD. We got those, and everybody that purchased a record through our website, it goes through the Billboard charts. I have our website set up properly. So every record that's bought, that has been bought up until today counts as a first day release because it was a pre-order. So I think we've sold a bunch of, like maybe 50 records so far. So it'll count as 50 records sold on day one go live, which looks good for an indie artist to sell that many records on the first day. So we're trying to get more of those sold, but it goes to SoundScan reporting, and SoundScan reporting goes to the Billboard charts. And selling 50 records, I'm not going to chart on the rock charts or anything. You need to sell more like 1,000 copies on day one to get close to having a silver record or something like that. But it's a good start. And for our next record, hoping to have that record label promo behind us for booking a tour for us in the United States and then Europe, that'd be great to go to. Hey, Carl, thanks for picking up a CD. Glad you like it. Yeah, thank you. Carl ordered that CD last week or the week before, and I mailed it out, so he got it early. But yeah, that's super cool. Bon Scott, Kiss, and many more sensational Alex Harvey band. Yep, love Bon Scott. I've seen Kiss live once. Very fun. Love the pyrotechnics. Gotta love that about Kiss. They put on a great live show. Cool. So let's see here. We got some more questions in the comments. So Chuck started singing at 10 and did a tour of Europe once. Youth band, nothing special. Chuck, I think that's awesome. If you got to tour Europe and you're from the States, that's a dream of mine, is to be able to go to Europe and play London, Belgium, the Netherlands, and go to, I always call it the motherland. I've never been there. Italy. My name's Vinnie. I'm Italian, well, Italian-American, that is. My grandfather, he came over from Abruzzo whenever he was 17. So one of my dreams is to go over to Italy. I want to do that someday. And then to do that on tour, that'd be pretty sweet too. But yeah, I want to get there. I've been to Europe once. I got to go to Belgium and Holland, and I loved it. And I can tell that they have a lot of rock and roll bands there that play our similar style of like blues, rock influenced music. So that's definitely on my list. I want to get there to play. Cool. Hey, thanks, Carl. Appreciate you for blowing it up on Spotify. Hit that heart button or whatever. It'll really help us out. Cool. Slade was definitely one of Kiss's early influences. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that, but yeah, I know Slade. I mean, Slade. A lot of people don't realize, but Slade has written a lot of songs like "Mama, We're All Crazy Now," which was covered by a lot of '80s hair bands, and then "Come On, Feel the Noise." Noddy Holder and Jim Lee from the band Slade actually wrote that song, "Come On, Feel the Noise," which is, I think, Quiet Riot made it famous in the States here for doing their cover in the 80s, but it is a 70s rock song. And I will tell you, I've heard, I mean, it's a great song. I've heard the Quiet Riot version my whole life, growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, listening to 102.5 WDBE, and the Slade version absolutely kills the 80s version. The original version. Love them. Cool. Hey, Johnson City, Tennessee. Yeah, that's in East Tennessee, Carl. I'm in Nashville, so a little ways away from you, but that's cool. I hope you enjoy your time out there. I've never been to Johnson City, but I heard it's beautiful out there. All of East Tennessee is great with the Smoky Mountains and everything. Just a cool area. I hope you enjoy yourself this weekend. So cool, yeah. Yeah, Sensational Alex Harvey Band. I'll have to check them out. I've actually never heard of the Sensational Alex Harvey Band. Thank you, Marksman, for that. Blue Plum Festival. Yeah, we'll have a great time out there. Cool. I hope they got some live music for you. Any dates near Indianapolis this summer? No, nothing in Indianapolis, but Indianapolis is on the short list of places to play just because it is pretty convenient to Nashville. There's a lot of our friends' bands, which are bands that go up through Indianapolis. I have played there before. You live in Virginia. But in Indianapolis, I think the Melody Inn is a venue that I've looked at in Indianapolis that I've sent emails to, and they were interested in having us play. But I believe that's the name of the place. But yeah, Indianapolis, I believe it's only a 6-hour drive, so that's an easy tour stop for us to come to. So I'd like to get there soon. But yeah, just keep an eye on the website, and if you follow us on social media like Facebook and other things like that, that's a good way to keep up to date with it. I also have an email list. You can sign up through our website, but I don't spam. I just send out like monthly newsletters, and then whenever we release music, I send out an email too, just to keep you aware of what are the happenings at the Semi-Supervillains headquarters. Cool. But yeah, so that's a lot of great questions coming in from the chat today. But yeah, this is a cool live stream just to be able to pay attention more to the comments. I know I've done these before where I've just been packing these records, and a lot of people were commenting, and I went back and looked at the comments afterwards, and I missed a lot of like great conversation things. So I wanted to do one of these that was just kind of more one-on-one to show you. Just to talk with you to see what you guys were having to say there. So. But yeah, that's the end of all of the questions that I have. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the live stream. I do appreciate everyone that joined in. And if you did join in and want to send me an email, you can go to the website and just reach out to the contact form. Drop your address in, and I'll mail you out one of these cool postcards. I got some postcards printed out to promo our new album. It says the Semi-Supervillains Frantic. New album out now, and it has the band members, and it has the album on the front, but we're sending these out. Other than that, our mailing list just consists of email. It would be cool to have an old school mailing list, but I don't really have the means for doing mailings. I obviously, as you see, I write these all out by hand just because I don't have any type of like printer that can print them out and mass produce them. But yeah, appreciate you for joining in the comments. Appreciate you for always watching the videos, whether you found us from Diesel Creek or you found us from the radio or whatever. Actually, I'm curious. If you're watching this and you found us on Diesel Creek, say so in the comments. If you found us from somewhere else, say so in the comments. Because I feel like these days, it's Diesel Creek is just where everybody finds us, just because it's it's like the new radio, really. But yeah, cool. Oh man, a new mailing list member. Cool. Hey, thanks for joining the mailing list, Chuck. Got you on there, Diesel Creek. All right, yeah, Chuck just joined the mailing list. Diesel Creek. Oh man, everybody's saying Diesel Creek. Well, that's great. We're gonna have to do some more music out with Matt. I was just out at Diesel Creek over the weekend, actually, just for Memorial Day. I stopped out there and was hanging out, just me and Matt, for a little bit. I will tell you, he's got all his crap in the shop now, and it is a giant mess. But it's really coming together. He's got some new machines. Some of the ones he doesn't want to reveal yet, but he's got another cherry picker. It's kind of cool. And then he went out to Michigan. I guess a follower was crapping this international type of big wheel loader thing, like an old wheel loader, and he went out and got it. He took his new 450, his like 2021 450, and got it, and went back. And I was asking him how much miles per gallon he got in the 450 driving it for 8 hours from Pennsylvania to Michigan. And he said, well, without the wheel loader in the back, I got about 12 miles per gallon, and with it, it went down to 11 and a half average on the way home. And so that's not bad, all the momentum there. And I drive a Honda Fit, 2019 Honda Fit. And I was joking with him. I sent him a picture of my dashboard when I was driving from Pennsylvania back to Nashville Monday. And I stopped again. I left, and then I drove 260 miles to Cincinnati. And I stopped in Cincinnati to get gas. And I looked at the dashboard to see what my average was. I'm a pretty conservative driver. I drive the speed limit, especially on a holiday weekend, because you know how the fuzz is out on the holidays, just trying to give you a ticket. So I drove maybe tops 2-3 miles over the speed limit, all on cruise control, averaging 49.9 miles per gallon. So almost 50 miles per gallon, pretty much 50 miles per gallon over 260 miles or whatever. So I sent that to Matt, and he just was so upset that I got that good a gas mileage over here. But yeah, I love my Honda Fit. It's been a great car, my only car right now. But yeah, super fun car to drive, and really efficient. I was able to fit a drum kit, a guitar, and then a Leslie speaker cabinet. For those of you that don't know what a Leslie is, they're those speaker cabinets that go with like vintage organs and stuff, and they're big and bulky. And I was able to fit all that in a drum kit too, in my car, and drove it 8 hours to Nashville, and I could have had a passenger if they're okay with sitting with a snare drum on their lap. But yeah, just a great car. I love those. I'm not sponsored by Honda or anything, obviously. My content has nothing to do with cars, but I do love that car. And they're not making it anymore either, so it's not really sponsored because they're not making money off it. Oh, yeah. Doug says he loves Leslie speakers. Inagata DeVita uses them. So Inagata DeVita by Iron Butterfly. And if I remember correctly, my 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Bischoff, she played that song for us. And she said she played not the full song, because the full song is like 17 minutes and it's just kind of like a drone and then just repeating that thing. But Inagata DeVita is them so stoned or drunk or high or whatever, but in the Garden of Eden. Inagata DeVita, baby. That's that whole thing. And you guys probably know that better than I do, because that's your generation's music. But I just thought that was kind of cool that it was introduced to us. So cool. Any idea why Living Stereo has 4,000 plays on the Spotify and other tracks have no plays? Hey, Lawrence, that's a great question. So Living Stereo was actually one of the singles that we had on this record, and we released it a couple of months ago with a music video. And the music video for Living Stereo, if you haven't seen that yet, go to our channel and watch that when you're done watching this live stream, because it is a sweet music video we did with vintage amplifiers. It's just a cool music video. But the reason why Living Stereo has a bunch of extra streams is because it was a single and it got released beforehand. It is probably one of the more popular songs that we have right now on Spotify, and it definitely is our most popular song on YouTube. And a funny story about Living Stereo, I originally made that song for Diesel Creek as just an instrumental track, and I sent that over to Matt, and he loved it, used it immediately, and he was like, dude, this song's awesome. He's like, it's my new favorite. And I was like, yeah, I like it a lot too. I had just bought a new Rickenbacker. This was last year I bought it. My walnut Rickenbacker I bought for a good deal from the Nashville Guitar Show. And I just created this song, Living Stereo. It took me all of 2 hours to make, with the guitar, bass, drums. Very, very easy song to make. And, every time Matt played it in a Diesel Creek video, so many comments were like, what was that song called? What was that song called? And I'm like, man, this song's great. And my dad said, he's like, you need to put this song on the album. And my dad suggested putting on the album as a instrumental. I was like, nah, Dad, it deserves some lyrics. So I put some lyrics on it, titled the song Living Stereo. And the origin of the song Living Stereo actually comes from the video I made, the original video I made for the instrumental track of Living Stereo. It was from a RCA Studios vintage ad for stereo studios that was called Living Stereo, for stereophonic, orthophonic, high-definition sound, just something really cheesy from the late 50s. And I just kept watching that video, and I just wrote the song and the lyrics from that. So that's the story behind that song, which was one of these singles from this album. It leads off side 2 on the record, which is just a great way to lead off a side of an album. Side 2, you can see right here, we got Living Stereo, lead off batter there. I'm a huge baseball fan, for those that didn't know. Pittsburgh Pirates specifically. Cool. Semi-Supervillains, Living Stereo, and The Cars has Moving in Stereo. Yep, I'm a big fan of The Cars, and I love that whole album with Moving in Stereo. That whole Cars album is just riddled with hits. Just a great record. Cool. Yeah, great. Let's see here. We got some more questions in the comments. Man, this is a lot of fun. Everybody's asking these great questions so far. So Never Gonna Love You is my personal favorite at the moment, a dissonant departure and a blend of 90s indie sensibilities and classic rock and roll. Just hits right. Hey, chap, thanks for your feedback on that song. Personally, I think it's got to be the most original sounding, slickest song we have on the whole record. If you haven't listened to Never Gonna Love You yet, you really need to. It uses all of the things that I'm good at. With my voice, I stack it up and do some really cool harmonies. It's produced by very heavily produced by Rick Wachowski. He does a great job of doing those like Alice in Chains-like kind of harmonies and really making those sound great. And then for the lead guitar, I played my 1961 Gibson SG Junior. It's an original SG Junior, all stock except for the bridge, but that's fine. The bridge doesn't really contribute to the sound from, like the pickups does or anything like that. And then I used my black Rickenbacker 360 for the instrumental. And I used the Ricco Sound stereo output to give me some cool output. And then I used, I believe I used an orange and then a Silvertone amp to get those sweet tube tremolo sounds. And then I also used the orange amplifier to get the biting lead sound. That's this Gibson SG, vintage Gibson SG with the what do you call it? The orange is like peanut butter and jelly. It just is just so good. Dude, I saw Alice in Chains in the Attic Party in Seattle when I was stationed in Fort Lewis. Man, that's awesome. Alice in Chains has got to be one of the coolest bands to come out of the 90s, in my opinion. Here Comes the Rooster, Man in the Box. I mean, their songs are just incredible. Just how great their vocal sound is. And actually, fun fact, I actually got to meet the engineer, Dave Hillis, who is the engineer that I guess he made their first record or helped make it in the early 90s. And I met him at a Christmas party back in December, this past December, that my buddy Isaac from the Weird Sisters told me to come to. And at the Christmas party, it was at the Sputnik Sound in Nashville. And I met him there, and we were just kind of talking about Pittsburgh and stuff, and I didn't realize that he was the Alice in Chains guy. So cool producer to run into. But that's Nashville, baby. You're just at a random party, and you run into these famous people that are famous in rock and whatnot. But that was pretty cool to talk to a guy that had worked directly with Alice in Chains. But Nashville's kind of like that town. You're always one step removed from these major artists, whether it be huge country artists or a lot of rock artists live in town here in Nashville now too. The country is definitely the main thing, but these modern rock stars like the White Stripes guy Jack White, and then the Black Keys, they all live down here. A ton of pop stars, Kid Rock, and then I think Robert Plant lives down here like for half the year. He at least has a house down here, So there's a ton of rock and rollers that are in here, and I live in East Nashville. For those of you that don't know that, but East Nashville is just really kind of like a hot spot in town for a lot of musicians to hang out. A lot of coffee shops, music stores, that type of thing. I love going to Barista Parlor or Fanny's. A little bit pricey, but on a special occasion, it's nice to go there. So let's see here. Yeah, Rooster is my favorite too, Chuck. Yeah, it's a great song. Cool. Yeah, who are my guitar heroes? Hey, thanks for that question, Doug. I'll go back through it. I will say Rick Wachowski, number one, with his work that he's done with Crack the Sky and the B.E. Taylor Group. If you ever get a chance to get your hands on a Crack the Sky record, the first four are great. And there's a lot of really cool stuff they did in the 80s, 90s, and they just put out two great records, too. And I think they're putting out a record next week, too. It's an acoustic record, From the Wood. I've heard a couple of songs from it. It sounds great, but their album, their self-titled debut album, Crack the Sky, is just a great album. And then also Safety in Numbers is a cool one, too, so check those out. So Guitar Hero number one, Rick Wachowski. Guitar Hero number two, Angus Young, AC/DC. Probably one of the original guitar players I looked up to the most. I would say Malcolm Young too, just because those two, they come as a pair because they're brothers. But those guys, huge influences for me. You gotta love your Jimmy Page's, great stuff. Led Zeppelin's entire body of work is amazing. Who else am I influenced from guitar by? Drawing a blank here. For guitar people that have influenced me. Let's say I play an SG Les Paul, Rickenbacker, obviously the Beatles, they're huge. Paul, John, George. Oh yeah, George Harrison. You gotta love him and all the slide work that he does. But yeah, those are some of my good ones. Ronnie Wood, love that guy for all of his work too. Let's see here. Theo Vaughn got me into Bishop Gun. There's a lot of crossover media hookups that are working in the interage. Hey, yeah, thanks. Rick Oasek. I don't know who Rick Asik is. Lawrence Taylor, listening to the album now. Hey, thanks for checking out the album, Lawrence. We got it's officially coming out at midnight, so make sure you wait until midnight to listen to the full album. But you can pretty much listen to half the album. We released like half the album as singles, so you can hear those. So very cool. I'm trying to think of other guitar heroes that I have. Other than those ones, those are certainly the bigger ones that I have. Nice, cool. Yeah. I guess a lot of the classic rock guitar players have influenced me a lot. I'm a big fan of Jack White, the White Stripes, all the stuff he's done with the White Stripes and the Recounters, the Raconteurs. They are super cool. With all the stuff that he does, with the way he uses guitar fuzz and effects, he's a big guitar fuzz user, and I'm not a huge guitar fuzz user, but I do appreciate when it is used very good like that. Sorry about the chewing noises. I got my pet rabbit. He's chewing on some wood here. I'm gonna tell him to quit it for a second. I'll be right back. Hey, knock that off, buddy. Stop that. Quit. Chew on this. Ooh, sorry about that. He's annoying. Retro band The Tubes. No, I'll have to check out The Tubes. Thanks for the recommendation, Doug. Any song recommendations in particular or albums where I should start with them? But yeah, I will definitely have to, let me write that down. The Tubes. I like tubes in my amplifiers. They sound good, so the band is probably cool too. But yeah, it feels really great to finally get this record out. It's our first release on vinyl, which is something I've kind of always wanted to do ever since I was 18, to get a vinyl release, and it's really cool just to be able to go down into Nashville and watch the records get pressed live, because a lot of people that get their records pressed, they don't live near a vinyl pressing plant, so they just get to see the records whenever they get shipped to them at their house. I got to watch these records get pressed. The orange ones I got to watch back in February. They pressed these, and then all the color ones, they were sent. They were pressed while we were playing a show at the pressing plant back in earlier this month, and we got our video guy Matthew. He recorded the whole performance, so you get to watch that whenever we get that put up online. Very, very cool stuff. So if you haven't checked that out, or make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube so you're able to, so you don't miss that whenever those videos come out. But they're pretty cool, or they will be cool. Do you do all of your own publicity? Hey, Chuck, thanks for the question. Yes, I do all the publicity myself. I don't hire anybody for any of that type of thing. The only people I hire to do stuff are people to press my records, because I don't have the facilities to do that. The people to press the CDs, because I don't have the facilities to do that either. And then also Rick Wachowski, he helped record and mix this record, but he kind of did that as a favor, so I thank Rick for that. And then also my buddy Ben, he helped with the graphic design. I had a good general idea of what I wanted, but he kind of made this come to fruition, so he helped out with this graphic design. But I do a lot of the graphic design myself too, just the main things, the stuff that needs to be really professional looking, like obviously like these record labels, like the physical labels on the records, they have to be professionally done. And then the vinyl jackets, I mean, these are super professional looking, just because Ben does have a great background in graphic design with his degrees and everything. So that was his design here from photos that Andy Rosen taked, a family friend, and then Ben was able to make these into this cool package, and then designing even the spine. He did a great job with that. So, giving a shout out to Ben from Pittsburgh, Band Action Camp. Check them out. He does a great job there with all the graphic design. But yeah, all the publicity, I do that. So if you get something in the mail, I mailed that to you. Or if you see any emails from our email list, those are emails that I designed. The website, I maintain that. I just kind of do everything myself for the time being. And I'm not going to lie, it's a full-time job in itself. Writing and recording music is a full-time job in itself. And then, trying to promote it yourself takes a lot of time too. But it's one of those things that my philosophy was, well, two philosophies. If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And that's just with just about anything. And the other thing is no one's going to promote something as hard as you. And I don't think I couldn't hire someone to push this record as hard as I would, just because I have emotional investment in it, not just financial, but, I've wrote and recorded every single song and tweaked in every single recording until I got it sounding just the way I heard it in my head. And then obviously the final points of the packaging of the record, just the graphic design, I've worked with Ben to just really make sure that the graphic design was up to snuff with the latter two, the previous two things I mentioned. How many instruments do you play? My son plays 8 and I dabble on 3. Hey, great question, Chuck. So I started out on piano. I took piano lessons when I was younger. Sorry, I got to get that rabbit to knock it off. Hey, buddy, you got to quit chewing that wood. It's loud. Let's move you over here. Hey. Come here, buddy. Come here. I was trying to pick him up and bring him on screen, but he was he was not having it. He walked away. So no, I was going to show you the rabbit, but that's not happening. So, but yeah, so going back to the instruments I play, I started out on piano. I started taking piano lessons when I was like 4, and I took piano lessons up until I went to college, really, or maybe like middle of high school. I kind of quit, but I continued playing and learning on my own. I had a formal piano teacher, Linda Slowakowski, in West Virginia, and then I really, YouTube was my other piano teacher because I kind of learned all the rock songs and everything just from watching YouTube. And then I knew how to read music from piano lessons. So that was a big help. That was like the foundation for me. Then whenever I was in 6th grade, I pulled my guitars out from underneath pulled my dad's guitars out from underneath his bed. And I started messing around on those and asking my dad to show me some things. Got really good fast just because I just had a strong affinity for that instrument. Especially growing up around my dad, always having the guitars and, playing music and taking us to concerts. At a very young age, I believe I got to see a lot of cool bands whenever I was young, just because my dad was cool and took me to them. And then being great family friends with Rick, and seeing him play all the time, that was guitar. So those are the 2 instruments I started out with, guitar, then piano. Bass kind of comes into play. I feel like bass I'm still learning. But bass is one of those things that it goes with guitar. So we'll count that as 1.5 or 2.5, because I wouldn't call myself a traditional bass player because I still kind of play the bass like the guitar. But I did play bass on a lot of the songs on this album and the previous album. Notably, Living Stereo, I did the bass on that one, and then Green Eyes Turn Blue. But you can certainly hear a difference between myself playing the bass and then John Panaccio playing the bass, because John is a more eccentric player. He does a lot of cool walking bass lines. And then me, I kind of do more rhythmic things with the bass. But yeah, so bass, guitar, so what? That's 3. And I play the drums. That's the 4th instrument I play. And I started playing the drums when I was in college. And I don't play any drums on any of our current recordings on this record, but there are a lot of Diesel Creek songs that I do play the drums on. I got a cool vintage 1960s Slingerland kit that I picked up back in August, and it sounds great. Record those here in my house for the Diesel Creek songs. And then the most recent instrument I've learned was I bought one for $20 in 2020, is a mandolin. And I started playing the mandolin just because Matt just wanted some variety to have with his soundtrack for Diesel Creek. So I bought that $20 mandolin and recorded the song Prestige Pond, which is like the most popular song that is on the Diesel Creek soundtrack, just because Matt uses it in his intros. But I used that to record Prestige Pond and then play that Rock and Roll, which is the title track from our 2022 album. And those are the first 2 songs I recorded the mandolin with. And it wasn't that hard to learn how to play the mandolin. I actually this is not the original mandolin. This is a nicer, more professional grade instrument mandolin my dad bought me for Christmas. So this is my mandolin. I'm not a great mandolin player. I'm still learning. But it's different than a guitar because it has 4 strings and each string is doubled. And it's the same strings as like a violin. But that's that. So mandolin is something, I have it in my living room and I'm always kind of messing around with it, trying to get new songs. And actually, when I'm done doing the Q&A today, I'm going to go record a song that's actually the last song on the record. So New Home. If you were able to get the album, purchase the album and you got it in advance, or wait till midnight, you can listen to the song New Home. And it's an acoustic song. It's the last song on the record. So what I'm going to be doing after this live stream is going into my studio over here and recording a bluegrass version that doesn't have vocals on it. Well, I will add vocals eventually, but it's just going to be mainly mandolin and acoustic guitar, and that's going to be for Diesel Creek. And the reason we do that separately is just to have a separate song from the record, even though it's the same song, but a separate recording for Diesel Creek, just so he doesn't get any copyright strikes or anything like that. So that's why I'm going to be using the mandolin with it. But I got some cool... But I got some cool mandolin riffs ready for that. I've been practicing this one all week, so I'm ready to record my parts for it. So that's what I'll be up to after this. But yeah, so I guess the long-winded answer to your question is, I guess 5. I play 5 instruments that I can like comfortably say like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Like you could hire me to play those instruments, and I could professionally play with guitar, bass, piano, drums, and and mandolin. I will say a little bit more rehearsal with the mandolin and with the drums, but I could certainly play professionally if someone hired me to do it. So thanks. Have you written a love song for your wife? Yes, I have. I played it for her right before. Well, I played it for her twice live, but yes, I have. I played it for her on our wedding day, and then the day we got engaged too. So that's for her ears only, and she doesn't. And I don't blame her. She doesn't want me to ever release it, and I agree. It's a personal thing. It's just for her. But yes, thanks for that question, Chuck. Oh, cool. Pure real sounds so good they become timeless. Hey, thanks for that comment. Mandolin, love that rabbit is dynamite. Then write a love song from a trucker to his hat. You know, that's actually kind of an interesting song subject. Love song from a trucker to his hat. I'm going to write that down. From a trucker to his hat. Thanks for that comment, Doug. That's actually kind of an interesting subject for a funny country song. I'm sure you could really get creative with those lyrics. And I do like those types of songs, especially a lot of the old-timey country songs. They do really get creative with their lyrics. So, but super fun. I will say, I try to get creative with some of the lyrics on this record. Let's just go through the album here. So Here Comes Trouble, Frantic, I Wouldn't Die For Your Love, Bad Transmission, I Like It, Stop the Show, Living Stereo, Never Gonna Love You, Gnarly Brown, Green Eyes Turn Blue, and A New Home. Gnarly Brown is a song that it's actually about a seeing eye dog. So if you listen to the song closely, listen to the lyrics, or if you go online and look up the lyrics, you can tell that it's about a dog. But yeah, that's my song about a dog. So inspired by Paul McCartney's Martha My Dear, which is a song about his dog. I wrote a song about a dog, not my dog in particular, because I don't own a dog, but a seeing eye dog. Cool. Lawrence Taylor says, New Home reminds me of the early days of The Who, Tommy album. Hey, thanks, Lawrence. I'm glad you liked the song. That's definitely it was definitely an interesting song that almost didn't make it onto this record just because I didn't think it fit stylistically. But then again, this record is a little bit more darker, and I do think the ending the album with an acoustic song was a cool thing to do. So I'm glad you liked the song New Home. Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate that. Cool. Yeah. So man, we got tons of people commenting today. So this is really great. Got a ton of people watching too. 7. Wow. But yeah, Matt and I were talking when I went to visit him because obviously he's a massive YouTube channel at this point. With 600,000 subscribers, and he was saying he got to talk with a personal rep he has a personal rep from YouTube, because obviously YouTube wants him to succeed, because when he succeeds, they succeed. So the personal rep, they just harp on him, do live streams, and he's not sure if he is going to do a live stream or not, because it doesn't really fit the mold for his channel, and he doesn't think people would be interested in just him talking. And I was like, man, dude, you should totally do that. I probably should have twisted his arm and got him to come on this live stream with me. I'm sure he would have. But I think he's going to be doing a nice little promo for us for the new record and his video tomorrow or Saturday or whenever he gets it edited. But that guy, he is a machine. He works all week doing this, all the production on whatever project he's doing, and then he goes and stays up till sometimes 1, 2 in the morning editing the video, which can take up to 6 to 8 hours just so he has it out in the morning. But yeah, when he gets in editing mode, he goes to town. But he has a really souped up computer to handle all that footage, because he's putting out hour-long videos for you guys. But they're definitely worth it. But yeah, I dropped off a couple copies to him, and I think we're calling it Auto Car Orange or OSHA Orange. I don't know. What do you think sounds better? I had him take a nice picture of it, him in front of the auto car holding this record, and the orange looks good. I think he was even wearing an orange shirt, so it was just whole lot of orange for one picture. Oh man. As a small-time streamer, how much would it cost me for an opening and closing tunes? Chuck, that's a great question. I do custom work for people. We could talk about that offline if you want to, but really, you just got to be careful. You can go and get. There's a lot of free stuff OSHA Orange, nice. There's a lot of free stuff you can get that YouTube has. The idea of hiring someone to do your music for you is just so it's exclusive. Just because there's a lot of YouTubers out there like Whistling Diesel and that use the same, and Andrew Camerata, they use the same songs. So you're watching these channels and they have the same songs playing in them. And I really think that Matt has a little bit of an edge just because he has his own set of songs that he chooses from that nobody else has from. So it gives you that edge when you're trying to stand out from the competition. For someone that's really into music, like, certainly it is a good thing if you want to have original music. But if you don't mind having the same music as other people, YouTube has a great free library of songs that you can use. Just be aware that that library is limited to however many songs they have, and then other people on YouTube also use those songs. But I wouldn't recommend going to too many of the outside royalty-free libraries because, one, they can be expensive, and they don't seem expensive up front because it says, oh, it's only $30 or something for use, but that's a one-time use. And then also there's like stuff in the fine print where like after 8 months or a year, your license expires and you have to renew it. And when you want to renew it, the cost is way more expensive. So you have to go back to old videos and mute songs, or your videos get demonetized. It's a mess with that type of stuff. And then also there's those shady or foreign country ones that they have music, they say it's royalty free, and then you use it for a little while, and then they turn on the royalties, and then you're screwed because all of your videos get demonetized that had the music, and you're having gaps in your videos with no music. So those are my two big criticisms for using those types of libraries, and I think some people have learned the hard way too with those too. But yeah, I do custom music for Diesel Creek. I've made over 100 songs, instrumental songs, and then for obviously the Semi-Supervillains, we have, oh man, 3.5 albums worth of material of original songs. And there's also different recordings of those songs too. So yeah, I do this professionally. It's not my full-time job because I still do have a 9-to-5 day job, 40 hours a week. But I do this probably a good 20 hours a week, whether it's writing, recording, or promoting music. I guess these past couple of months have been mostly promoting just because of the, putting out a record, you got to promote it. You can't just like write a song and make a CD and a record and then not promote it because then no one will listen to it. And if nobody listens to it, then you're on the hook for all these records and stuff that's in your house. And like, what was the point? So I'm really thankful for everybody that does listen to the channel or watch the channel, listen to the music, and then also, they grabbed a copy of the CD. I appreciate you. I hope you do enjoy it. But we put a lot of work into making these nice, and it makes me so happy when I hear that people, appreciate the quality of the music, and then also the packaging too. So that's great. I thank you for that. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, no problem, Chuck. Glad that helps you out a little bit. But yeah. Just getting started out. It's there's a lot of YouTube channels that blow up overnight, and there's some YouTube channels and some podcasts that do the same thing for years and years and years, and they never move the needle on their subscribers or anything. My biggest piece of advice to you is if you're passionate about it, go do it. If you're not passionate about it, don't waste your time. That's with anything in life. Just because losing interest and not being consistent is probably the worst thing you can do for YouTube and everything, just because the algorithms don't favor you whenever you're not consistent, which is why we've released back-to-back albums in back-to-back years. That and because I'm a crazy person, always releasing new albums. But yeah, Play That Rock and Roll came out in 2022, and now we got Frantic, our latest studio album, coming out in 2023. That's tomorrow or tonight at midnight. If you're watching on the East Coast, if you're in the East Coast, and Frantic is, definitely, I think it's our best album yet, and really proud of the way this one turned out. Proud of everybody that played on it, everybody that helped make it happen. I just want to thank you for that. But really, really cool stuff. Find out what you're not good at and don't do it. From Doug. Let's see. That was from his coach. Yep. That's a good thing to do too. I found out the hard way that I wasn't very good at high school football. Wasn't very big. I thought I was fast, but not as fast as some of these other guys. But I got killed a lot out there on the field, but had a good time doing it, being with my buddies. So it's a good piece of advice. But anyway, anybody wants to grab a copy of the record and you're just tuning in, you can grab a copy, Semi-Supervillains.com. We got them on OSHA Orange or Autocar Orange vinyl records. any order from the website, or all orders from the website, they come to me, and I fill all the orders from the house that comes with comes from Nashville. And then we also got CDs for sale too. For those of you that still have CD players in your cars, I for one don't. Got a 2019 car, so it doesn't have a CD player anymore. But a lot of people still do. I'm thinking about buying a van here so we can get some more serious tour dates in, and then I'm going to be buying an older van, and likely the van will have a CD player, so I'm not getting rid of my CD collection yet. It might be worth money someday. You don't know. That's what happened to the vinyl records, man. They went out of style, now they're back in style. Man, you can't buy a CD at Walmart anymore, but you can buy a vinyl record there. Kind of crazy. What are the minimums in producing LPs or CDs? Hey, Chuck, that's a great question. So for CDs, the minimum that I use, I'm not gonna shout out their name or anything, but if you just type in CD duplication, they're the first one that pops up. They're based in New Jersey. But again, they're not sponsoring this video, so I'm not giving them a shout out unless they're paying me. I'm not helping them get more business, but they're pretty good. Again, I'll just say I use disc makers, but the lowest amount that I've ever used to them minimum was 50. And I ordered 50 CDs of our 50 CDs of Live at Trashman Studios. And we are officially sold out as of yesterday. We sold our 50th copy of that one. So it is out of print right now. So if you had purchased one of those, that was just our 3-song live album we did at Trashman Studios. I thank you for that. And you are one of 50 people to own one. Well, actually, yeah, one of 50 to get that. So that's kind of cool. So 50 is the minimum for CDs, and then vinyl is the minimum. Well, I guess the minimum, it depends on where you get it pressed. The minimum for our plant was 500. So I talked to them, and we actually got less than 500. We only got 400 made just because I told them I want to get color because color is more expensive, and they said, yeah, we could do 400 color. That's fine. But other places, I think the minimum, you can get a minimum of 100. But it doesn't make sense to get less than 300 records just with all, because I priced out everything myself. And this is for Chuck. Chuck, this is for you. You're getting the long-winded answer. I priced out everything and got quotes from probably 10 different vinyl pressing plants, and it didn't make sense to get less than 300 because your profit margins are just razor thin on those. Just because just for the production of a record, the wholesale is like close to like $16. So if you're selling that record for $20 just to produce the vinyl, it's that. You're not even factoring in what were your recording costs, your promotion costs, marketing, that type of stuff. So it's not that good of a margin. So me getting my 400 from the Vinyl Lab in Nashville, and I don't mind shouting them out because they're awesome and they're my neighbors. But my wholesale cost for these was about, I want to say $850 per record. But that doesn't factor in recording costs, mastering fees, and then the costs for marketing and production. I've had some videos made. So really, it's gonna, if I sell all these, make some money, but really it's kind of going to be just a little bit of a profit or a wash, definitely a wash for all the hours that I put into promoting it. But again, it's a labor of love, something I really like to do. So it's something fun. So cool. Oh man, we got some more people in the asking some questions. So John Michael Ward said, "Hey Vinny, I received my CD vinyl bundle. Congratulations on the new album. So proud of you and the group. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'll perform in Weirton on August 19th. Hey, John, thanks. Glad that got to you. Very cool. Playing in Weirton, that's our hometown. I've known John since tennis camp in the first grade. I think that's the first time I met you and your brother and your sister that I can remember. And I believe John's cousins with our drummer, Tony Marino, too. John, correct me if I'm wrong. But we are playing August 19th in Weirton, West Virginia. So John will be there. Very cool. Yeah, we'll play a song request for you. Just let me know in advance so we can learn it. All right, Lawrence Taylor, I love what I'm hearing, so just ordered the LP. I hope that it arrives in the UK in one piece. Otherwise, it'll be a smash hit. Hey, Lawrence, thanks for ordering a copy of our new album. We'll make sure to get that to you. I have shipped out plenty of records to the UK, and I haven't gotten any complaints for broken records yet, too, so that's a good sign. But I do a nice job of packing them with bubble wrap and these cardboard shipping containers. Do a good job of getting those. So if you don't mind, Lawrence, I'm kind of curious to see where in the UK you're from. If you don't mind letting us know, because that's fun to me. Because I know I've done a couple to Belgium, one to the Netherlands last week, Norway, that's in the UK, I believe, Scandinavia. And then we've done a bunch to like London, like the London greater metropolitan area. Those are all of our major ones that have the record. Frantic, like vinyl, actual vinyl records. As far as other places I've shipped to, Costa Rica. I did one to Costa Rica a couple of weeks ago, or a pre-order for the record. So that was our first time there. And then I've actually shipped records to, or not records, but CDs, not this CD, but our previous album, Play That Rock and Roll, on CD. Shipped one to New Zealand, and then one to Australia, like mainland Australia, I think like Brisbane or something. So very cool. We have our Australian friends grabbing those. But yeah, I'll ship it anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, I don't have a record label, so I don't have any distribution deals. I'm looking into that. If you want it shipped to you, the only thing I ask is if you're able to pay for the shipping. It's usually for a CD, it's like $18 to $20, and for a record, it's $30 to $32 for the UK, and then maybe the most expensive one I've ever shipped was to Cyprus, which is a country off the coast of Lebanon, and that was $34 for shipping one record and a couple of CDs. So that was kind of a lot, just considering the record's only a $25 record, But very cool. I ship it anywhere in the world and have had some really good success with that. But I'm looking into getting a distribution deal with maybe a record store in London. Or if you're watching this live stream and you've got a record store in London and you'd like to carry our new record, Frantic, send an email to info@semisupervillains.com. I'd love to do some business with you. Or if you got a friend, that has a record store too, that'd be kind of cool too to get you there. Cool. Let Me Roll It from the 1971 album Band on the Run. John, thank you for that request. I love that song. Let Me Roll It. I think that's something that we can work out for you, because you may or may not know this, but we have played that song before if you've seen us live. So it's not like we're having to learn anything new. I will say at our show in Weirton, we're rolling as a three-piece. Actually, all summer we're going to be rolling as a three-piece. That's a trio. We won't have our keyboard player with us. Again, we're trying to cut costs here and being efficient as possible with our live shows. So when you only have to pay 3 band members, you get a bigger cut than when you have to pay 4 or 5. So but that's okay, because most of the songs on this record are trio songs anyway, so you don't really need a keyboard player. So it's not me just being a cheapskate and not wanting to hire a keyboard player, but currently our keyboard player, Taylor Miller, he's credited on back of the record. He actually moved away. He's not in Nashville anymore, so I don't actually currently have a keyboard player either. So that's kind of sad, but that's all right. I live in Music City. It shouldn't be that hard to find a new keyboard player. So John, we got that request in for you. We're going to make it happen. Love that song. Great choice. You got great taste in music here. Oh, okay, cool. Coventry, UK. Very cool. And then Lawrence Taylor, northeast of England near Newcastle. Very cool. Yeah, we got, so Lawrence Taylor's got a record coming to you. I'll get that shipped out to you tomorrow afternoon, so expect it in about a week, I would say. I think most of the people that I have sent to the UK, they get it in about a week. So that's not too bad for international shipping. It goes from Nashville to Miami, Florida, then to London, and then from London it gets dispersed. So if you're in like Belgium and Norway, I think it's going to go to London first, and then from there it goes to whatever country. So I'm sure if you're north of London, it'll probably be going to London. Cool. Yeah, that's great, man. So we got John Ward from my hometown, Weirton, West Virginia, in the live chat. Very cool, John. Thanks for joining in, and people from all over the world too, which is very cool. So, but Chuck, will you be adding merch to your website? Chuck, yes. So I have merch. Let me grab an example here. So I have a couple of T-shirts made. Here's an example of one of them. It's our logo we have on a T-shirt. It's on like an ash gray, and this one's a size medium. But I also have these on army green. And what I say about merch is if you want something specific, email me. It's like a T-shirt size or a poster, that type of thing. Because I don't get huge batches of T-shirts made at a time. The most I get is 50 made, just because it's just a lot of inventory to keep track of, and I'm a one-man show here when it comes to shipping. Obviously, I'm not Amazon, and I don't have a third party doing these fulfillments. So I just ask if you do want to get a T-shirt or some specific item, just send me an email, and I'll let you know. And what I usually do with that is I'll create a custom, I guess, a custom item in the store for you. So, for example, like that guy that was in Costa Rica last week, he specifically asked, because I do all my shipping through the United States Post Office, he asked specifically for UPS or DHL, and he said he was willing to pay the shipping. So it's about $20 more to ship with UPS. So what I did was I created a custom entry on our website temporarily, just for him until he purchased it through that. And it was, album bundle for the guy's name in Costa Rica, and then I just included the higher shipping price. So if you ever see one of those, they're up for less than 24 hours. But if you ever see one of those on our web store, that's because somebody emailed me and wanted a specific product. So yeah, for like a T-shirt. So for example, you wanted a T-shirt, say, hey, do you got any of these white ones in an XL? And I'll answer yes or no, and then I'll say just go ahead and order it, and I got you, or I'll create a specific order for you. So, but yeah, thanks. That's a great question, Chuck. Cool. Cool. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, huge Beatles fans too. We are definitely, Johnny, myself, and Tony are all huge Beatles fans. So actually, going back, you see your cousin Tony Marino, Deb Marino, Tony's mom, she was a big influence on us whenever we first started playing too, because she played guitar and had guitars when we were in the 6th grade, and I believe she could play Blackbird on the guitar, and she taught Tony how to play Blackbird. And yeah, Tony Marino is just a freak of nature on anything he does, really. But he was playing Blackbird, Over Hills and Far Away, and Stairway to Heaven in the 6th grade, which is like crazy for someone that had just learned to play the guitar like within a couple of months. But yeah, he picked up the instrument very quick. It took me a little longer than that to get good at the guitar, but when there's motivation, it's a slow roll, but you get there eventually. So, but yeah, the John Ward's aunt and cousin Tony. Very cool to see this all related here too. But yeah, so sweet. Yep, we got an order here for Lawrence going to England, and then we got a new mailing list member. Hey, thanks, Marksman, for joining the mailing list. We send out, if you're interested in joining our mailing list, we send out monthly newsletters, or I try to do monthly. Sometimes I forget, and then I'll probably send out an email tomorrow. Just to announce to everybody the album is officially out digitally everywhere. But yeah, make sure you listen to it on Spotify and save it into your albums in Spotify, just so I have that data and numbers to say whenever I'm pitching our music for the next record to go to a record label. That data helps to get the record label to be more interested and to be more likely to cut us a deal for something. But yeah, the good news is we got our next record completely. All the songs are done, and most of the recording is done. We just need to do overdubs and then some minor tweaks and things like that. And then right now it's going to be 9 songs. I want to try to add 2 more, but the record is going to be more of a kind of more of a power pop or a Brit pop sound. This record, Frantic, it definitely has a darker side. And then our previous record, Play That Rock and Roll, was certainly more of a southern rock kind of style record. But I like to kind of do that, change directions a little bit, not make the same record over and over again, but kind of have different styles and influences. So this next record will be, if you're fans of the bands Big Star or the Kinks or the Easy Beats, if you're from Australia, that style, that's the style that the new record will be in. Just more of that kind of more raw attitude, vintage voice. But yeah, vintage voice is kind of like our whole thing, vintage modern, I would say, and we definitely get a lot of that with working with Rick Wachowski. So that's a lot of fun things we do. But yeah, so again, we got these records up on our website, and I thank everybody that's grabbed one so far. You'll be able to listen to the record tonight at midnight on the East Coast, 11 on the Central Time, and then probably sometime early in the morning if you're in Europe. But yeah, there it is, Frantic. Very cool record. But yeah, I hope everybody has enjoyed the live stream so far. I'm all out of questions, so if you have any questions, I'm here. Go ahead and drop those in the comments. I do have my mandolin here that I was playing a little bit earlier. Sorry if I'm a little bit out of tune, but after this, I'm going to be recording a mandolin and acoustic guitar song, version of the song New Home, which is the final song on the record. But So if anybody that's got the record so far, you might recognize that tune a little bit. I'm not going to try to sing just because I got a little bit of allergies going on right now. Yep, so I got to get to work here pretty soon. So I'm thinking that was a pretty good live stream. Again, I want to share with everybody that's watching the live stream. I do have something really cool that I'm going to put on the web store for tomorrow in honor of our release day. So this is going to be one of our test pressings here. So actually, Chuck, so my old mandolin, the $20 mandolin, I gave it to Matt from Diesel Creek. I can't say his last name. He doesn't want us to say his last name online. It's a whole thing. But I gave it to Matt as a gift, just because I wanted to give it to him, and he hung it up in his office, and he's going to hang it up in his shop, and he asked me to autograph it for him. But it's just because that's the instrument that recorded the Prestige Pawn and a lot of the other mandolin stuff that he did. It's a good memento for him to have. So I'm sure you'll see it hanging up in the shop pretty soon. So, but he might give it a shout out or not. I don't know. But yeah, that's where that one's at. So I currently only have one mandolin. It's that one. So, and I can't sell you that one because then I'd be without a mandolin. But yeah, anyway, so tomorrow is the release day for Frantic. Make sure you stream that and comment on any type of social media posts that we have, or share it with your mom, your grandmother, or your crusty uncle. And if you haven't yet pick up a record, if you are so inclined to spin the wax around. But this is one of the special things that I'm going to be putting in the merch store tomorrow. There'll be one of one. This is one of the 5 test pressings, and the other 4 are for. I'm keeping them. Obviously, they're given as gifts to people that worked on the record. But this test pressing, this will be one of one for sale tomorrow. I'll put that up in honor of release day. You'll get to have an original test pressing of Frantic, pressed at the Vinyl Lab in Nashville, Tennessee. And it'll come with this fancy white jacket, which is not great, but I'll also throw in one of the actual jackets of the record too, the full color ones that I got on display back here. But this is the actual jacket that comes in. So you never know. Someday, and this is number 5 of 5. So you'll get number 5. And you'll never know. This test pressing, it could be worth something someday if we ever hit it big, or it could be worth nothing and just be a coaster if we don't hit it big. But either way, I thank you for your support, and I hope you enjoy listening to that. But again, for those of you that don't know what a test pressing is, it's whenever you get your records pressed at a pressing plant, the record pressing plant will send you 5 test pressings to listen to make sure the album sounds right and there's no issues with the sound quality or anything like that. You listen to them and you approve them or deny them. Most people approve them because these pressing plants, they're pretty good with their automation, everything. And then once that happens, you get to keep them, which is kind of fun. And you can do whatever you want with them. A lot of people either keep them as mementos, or they sell them to like super fans or things like that. So I figured, because it's one of one, I'll just put it for sale for $50, which is double the price of a regular record. And if somebody wants to pay $50 for it, it's yours. But if you don't want to pay $50 for it, I'd rather just keep it because it's kind of cool. But yeah, thanks again, everybody, for joining the live stream. I'll probably be doing another live stream on Saturday morning. So if you're around Saturday morning, whenever the Diesel Creek video comes out, I'll probably do the live stream after the Diesel Creek video, just so everybody can watch that. And we'll have another one, and maybe we'll pack up some records or have some more Q&A, whatever you guys liked more. Do you like the Q&A kind of format of me talking to you, or do you like me talking to you while packing up records? Let me know, whatever you think. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate that. But yeah, everybody, thanks again for sticking around and watching the video. We'll catch you on the next one. Oh, and make sure to listen to this tonight at midnight. So, all right, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.